And this is what you start seeing. There is no aspect of nature, whether it is the waters, whether it is rain, whether it is thunder, whether it is fire. There is no aspect of nature that does not have an angel administering it. Whether it is economy, whether it is health. So God's angels will be triggering the end time events, and God's angels will also be controlling it to the advantage of the believers.
Welcome to Dominion Mandate, a platform where we awaken a deep hunger for the pursuit of God and equip believers to dominate their world for Christ. Here, we dive into the Word of God, explore timeless truths, and ignite a passion for spiritual growth, purpose, and kingdom influence. This is not just another channel, it's a movement.
In Daniel chapter 10, verse 2, Daniel said, I was praying, fasting for three weeks during that period. Then verse 11, in those days I mourned for 3 weeks, fasting, partial fast for 3 weeks. Verse 11, and then he said to me, that's a man appeared to him. I wish I can read that for you. You can read from that verse 2 down. It's Gabriel, Angel Gabriel. It described what he looked like and all of that. So I don't really have the time. And he said to me, oh Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak today. Stand upright, for unto thee I am now sent. And when he had spoken this word to me, I stood trembling. Then verse 12, then he said, fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that you did set your heart to understand and to chasten yourself. That word chasten is fasting. Before God, your words were heard. So first day when he declared the fast, heaven has heard. And I was sent for your words. The angels are sent in response to our word. Our words. Then verse 13. But the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me for 21 days. But lo, Michael, one of your chief princes, chief means archangel, came to help me, and I remained there with the kings. Look at the forces he has to deal with in the spiritual. I want to see how government is changed. You overthrow the powers in the spiritual that are supporting, that are undergirding that particular administration. When they collapse in the spiritual, the physical government, the nature government will collapse. And go to verse 20 yeah. Then he said, now you know why I came to you. Is that why I came to you? Now I will return to fight with the prince of Persia, because he hasn't finished that job. Michael took over the thing, but he will tidy it up. When they tell me that Gabriel is only a messenger, I say, you don't know what you're talking about. This angel is also a warrior. But anyway, I'll fight with the prince of Persia, and when I'm gone, after he has defeated him and gone, lo, what will come? It was Gabriel that overthrew the Persian Empire so that Alexander the Great can emerge. Let me even tell you guys, the rabbis of Israel showed me something in the book of Daniel, and I did a study and found out it was true. When they said when Alexander came, part of his conquest, he was fighting wars, conquering, he invaded Jerusalem once. As he approached, the elders of Israel opened the gate and went to meet him. He said, the prophet of Israel prophesied your arrival. He said, it's the angel that fights for Israel that pushed down Persian Empire and made way for you to emerge. And they showed it to him in prophecy. I think it was Daniel chapter 8, where they predicted his arrival and how his kingdom will also end, how it will be distributed to 4 of his generals. It's there in that book. And he now asked them to bless him and bless his kingdom, and withdrew. He never touched Israel. If not, this guy will have started another war. Look at how Babylon's empire and rule came down. It was one of the watchers again. Nebuchadnezzar has finished. He came back, finished well, acknowledged the God of heaven and became a good king. He was now behaving. But when he left, his son came to office. Instead of learning from what happened to the father, he started again. Pride. He brought the vessels that were taken from Jerusalem, from the temple of God, and started throwing a feast, and they were using it to drink before their gods. Another watcher came into that place, and he started writing on the wall, mene, mene. Find it. Get there. It's in chapter 5. And started writing mene, mene, tekeseke, ufaseno, something like that. Anyway, Daniel was called in to give the interpretation. Go to the interpretation. He said, mene means God has numbered your kingdom and finished it. That finished means concluded it. It's over. This administration is over. Yes, next one. Tekel, you are weighed in the balance and you are found wanting. Perez, your kingdom is now divided and given to who? The Medes, and one kingdom broke into 2 by prophetic decrees. So now watch. Then 29. By Shazar commanded, and they honored Daniel, decorated him with all this. He didn't stop the prophecy. Watch what happened. The next verse. That night. I've never seen a prophecy happen that quick. That night. Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, was what? Ladies and gentlemen, that's why I said, I didn't call anybody's name. I said Konya is what we are dealing with now. There are some, they won't be alive. We're going to do it now. Some of them, because Brevikino Potole first, this is my Papa Ika. Stop worrying. The Church of Jesus Christ is not a slave, just moving around. No. This age is the age of his power. We're going to see spiritual tsunamis, apostolic and prophetic infusion, and it will be happening everywhere as we train and equip God's people. It will be happening everywhere. Local government level, some native doctor that is misbehaving somewhere. It will be happening to witches. It will be happening in the political terrain. Angels now wants the church to cooperate with them to unveil the power of his might. And when he was slain, who rose? It was Darius. Yeah, the next verse. And Darius they made them two kingdoms. And this is the one that favored Zion, commanded for rebuilding of Jerusalem. Later, the other man came, that is Cyrus. Cyrus was the one that now made a full decree. Somebody that will favor Zion took over. I'll give you the toughest case so that you know that there is nothing we meet in these last days. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what you see in the book of Revelation. Pastor Ben, the book of Revelation is divided into three segments. It's divided by tools. The first is 7 seals. And it was Jesus opening that. A lot of people do not know that that one deals with where we are now. What you saw with COVID is seal number 4, the one that brings plagues. Whenever you see economic shake-up, is seal number 3. That brings drought and shake. So when you hear Jesus mentioning the signs of his coming, there is a level he got to. He said, we are at the beginning of sorrow. It is the seal. Because when the trumpet starts, we enter tribulation. So a lot of preachers, especially in America, it's not everything from America you people should be taking. They will tell you the seals are part of the tribulation. They are not. They are the signs of the time. What's the first seal? A white horse rider. And that is not Jesus, because Jesus is the one that just opened it. It's not Jesus riding that thing on the earth. The person that did in heaven, that opened the seal, is Jesus. He has not started coming yet. That is the spirit of deception that masquerades as Jesus. And if you watch Jesus when he was giving the signs of the time, he said the first thing you will see is deception. Many will come in my name. This is the spirit that corrupts religion. False prophets, false ministries. That is that man. Second seal is the red horse rider, the one that causes conflict, war, all kinds of. All of them can be dealt with. Third seal is economic problems and shake-up. And Jesus, even in verse 7, when he was dealing with all of this in Matthew 24, he talked about plagues, pestilence, famines. The third seal is famine. The fourth one is plagues, disease, epidemics. And COVID is not the last. If you look at the fifth, you now know some of the things happening in the future that will be coming next. Because when they opened it, it was persecution. And if you follow Jesus' teaching, he said before all this, they will lay hands on you, they will persecute you, you'll be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And he now prepared us. Because he said when the fifth seal begin and persecution starts, many will be offended, many will begin to betray one another. That means end time church must pay attention to deepening the root of believers, discipleship, and prepare people for persecution. Prepare them like the early church. You can't be raising babies and be giving them only the good, sweet messages. He said many will be offended, they will begin to betray one another, and the love of many will wax cold. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me now tell you something. When we progress further beyond the seals, you see where Jesus is no more the one opening anything. At this time, ministry of angels takes over. When he gets to 7 trumpets, 7 angels. When he gets to the 7 bowls, 7 angels. Those that will live in the last days must understand the ministry of angels if they're going to make headway. And this is what you start seeing. There is no aspect of nature, whether it is the waters, whether it is rain, whether it is thunder, whether it is fire. There is no aspect of nature that does not have an angel administering it. Whether it is economy, whether it is health. So God's angels will be triggering the end time events, and God's angels will also be controlling it to the advantage of the believers. There are sometimes before an angel triggers, another angel will tell him, wait, let me seal God's servants on their foreheads. You will see when they open the bottomless pit and locusts came tormenting people, they are not permitted to touch those people that have the seals. So angels are triggering the events, prophetic events. Angels are also the ones regulating it. There are other angels that can even regulate the angel that is blowing the trumpet. We need to understand the ministry of angels. So here is the one I want to give a definitive. You know what it is? It is the Antichrist. If they can handle him, so what else are we dealing with in the last days that cannot be handled? Look at Revelation 12. They handled the dragon. Angels handled him. Of course, the one that shocked me is when he was sent to prison. The Bible said a mighty angel, one angel came, and he had a chain on one hand. With one hand, he laid hold of the dragon. So God has some angels with some levels of capacity. This devil that is busy disturbing people, one angel, and he didn't keep the chain on the ground. You know, I was shown the vision of the rapture and all the things that were happening around the world, and I was in London, central London, when it happened. And I saw what were happening all over Europe and all that. And then after all of that, shown all these events, just a preview of the scripture. I've been reading it, but God just decided to, up to that time when Jesus was to return to begin his reign, and they took this man and bound him and put him in the bottomless pit. And the angel that was asked to conduct me on this tour said, I want to take you on a tour. I said, please, sir, that bottomless pit part, because when he spoke a language till today, I don't understand the language, but he spoke it just like I speak in tongues. He was talking to me in the language I understand. When he got to where the pit, everything you're hearing is on the ground, this earth. This bottomless pit is inside the earth. Hell, you'll be hearing is inside the earth. All these people that you heard that went to hell, they are inside this earth. You heard that Jonah was 3 days and night inside the belly of the fish. The Son of Man will spend 3 days in the belly of the earth. He's not just talking about his body in the grave. Go and read what happened to Jonah. His body stayed in the belly of the fish, but his soul descended to Sheol. So he spoke a language, and then he opened this bottomless pit. That's when I understood what Revelation was talking about. Do you know what happened on earth? Volcanic eruption. When you hear is that something came out and covered the sun, it was volcano. There was such a heavy volcano, and the sun and everywhere were blackened. So the man said to me, the natural men that live on earth, human beings, will see the volcano. CNN will carry it, all the news channels. What they did not see is what came out with it. I think it's just smoke. So sometimes some of these eruptions you see, these demonic forces invaded the earth, led by a fallen angel, and they dealt with human beings. But at that time when they were doing all this, there's a group of people, once they see them, there's a group of people on the same earth, they don't touch them. Just like what happened in Egypt. So here's the point I'm making now. The toughest thing to be experienced in the last days is when the dragon comes to earth. It was angels that handled him. Next to that is the man that he will raise, the Antichrist. I want to show you what they did to that one. Daniel chapter 7, everybody show that. So the reason I'm bringing all this information, the challenges of the last days are not beyond control. They are not beyond control. There is a way people study prophecy. They just hear that this and that, and they resign to faith. No. God is going to have a militant church, an apostolic church, and a prophetic church marching. Didn't you hear that this gospel of the kingdom will be preached even in the midst of all that? Didn't you hear Daniel where he said, they that know their God shall be what? They shall be strong and do exploits in the midst of all that. You don't just resign to faith. Some of the things you call forces of nature that will be doing things, but perchance you find yourself in Japan, or you're there listening to me, and the earthquake starts. You resign to faith. You must die in the earthquake. You are a child of God. You will not die in the earthquake, because the earthquake were even triggered by angels. So trigger also the ministry of angels. They will rescue you like they rescue Lot. That's why you must have a walk with God, and the angels of God must know your address. Because it was not Lot that made a phone call and said, this is where I live, come and visit me. They knew Lot's house. You might be flying, and there are all sorts of things that will happen from the sky. It could be one of those shooting stars, and it's coming from sky. And maybe the aircraft you are traveling in is in the harm's way. So you just assume the thing will hit us, throw us into the Atlantic Ocean. No, you don't throw. An ambassador is traveling here, and it is my country that is bombing. Is America bombing Iraq, and then American ambassador has to be rescued. So I'm an ambassador, and it is just one of the angels releasing that bomb They are going to bomb this earth if you hear what is going to come. An ambassador of the kingdom is traveling, and it is my own country bombing. So they don't bomb down our own aircraft. Because of me, every other person in that aircraft will arrive safe. Lemarco Prata, I don't care if it is meteorite, I don't care if it is shooting star, I don't care if it's tsunami, I don't care. It will be redirected so that the airplane can pass. But we must speak. The angels respond in response to our. They have divine government. They cover every aspect of the universe. There is a divine government that governs in this territory, apart from Satan's government. The person deploying this is Satan's side of the government. Deploy heaven's government. Now, immediately. They've taught me that there is no aspect of nature that is not under some angelic government. The angels that govern thunder, there are those that govern rain. So as you go on the assignment, there are all kinds of things you will meet. You meet a community where they say rain has not fallen in 3 years. But you just brought the gospel. Don't you know this is the opportunity to win the whole community? Go tell them, I want to see the king. I want to see the elders. Let them call the king and the elders that we are here to bring rain. They say, who are you? I said, the God of heaven sent us to bring hope to this community. And then they gather the whole elder. He said, gather the whole people like Elijah did. I gather them for you. Then you preach the gospel. And then you lead them to repentance. Then you lead them to Jesus. When you have finished all that, and you have done deliverance, you've done altar call, you have done all, minister to the sick. When you have finished all that, because this power is not just for casting devil from human beings. We can deal with demons that are troubling the whole community. You know what I said? Your Majesty. Now. So you lift your hand. Father, in the name of your son Jesus, because that name rules over everything. I now ask for the angels that is in charge of rain, that holds the key to rainfall, that govern the clouds and the elements, to be deployed now, because you can see we've given the community a promise in your name. And that's what Jesus meant by signs and wonders. There are signs that we're going to see. The Bible said there will be signs in the heavens. There will be signs on earth. It's not just healing. It's not just healing. There will be signs. You want us to carry out this last day's assignment? You get a plague, it is plague. I don't care what type of plague. There are angels in charge of everything, including health. The angels in charge of the economy. If you read Daniel 7, the Bible says Antichrist was talking, making small, you know, the small horn, they call it, talking and all that. The Bible says judgment sat, and they took away his dominion and decreed his body to be given to burning, to fire, flames of fire. And then the 10 kings, those 10 horns that rule with him, they cut short the administration, ended it, but left them alive for a short while till a few more events were. The heavenly watchers. There is a heavenly government too. There is a heavenly council that God presides over, that rules over the affairs of men. Let's lift up our hands and first honor the Lord and acknowledge him. Pay him tribute as the Lord of the armies of heaven, the ruler of the universe, the owner of the earth, the one that raised this nation called Nigeria as his own choice nation to play a critical role in the last days. Let's honor him for that. Let's pay him homage.